Growing up, I never asked for much. I was the type of child who knew when to stay quiet, who didn't scream when things felt unfair, and who learned early on that being the eldest meant more responsibilities and less affection. My parents weren't cruel, they just had their preferences. And unfortunately, their favorite wasn't me. It was my younger sister, Lila. Lila could do no wrong in their eyes. She failed her math test? She's creative, not technical. I won the school science fair? That's great, but let's not brag. Over time, I stopped expecting praise. I stopped chasing their validation. But that didn't mean it didn't hurt. Please subscribe to our channel and tell me in comments from where are you watching this video. My birthdays had always been a quiet affair. No big parties, no surprises. A cake, maybe. A simple, happy birthday at the dinner table if they remembered. Some years, even that didn't happen. But this year, I was turning 26. Nothing special, no milestone. But I had a small hope. Maybe this year they'd call. Maybe they'd post something. Maybe they'd acknowledge I was still their daughter. But the day passed, hour by hour, and nothing came. No call, no message, no happy birthday voicemail. Just radio silence. I sat on my bed for a long time, staring at the empty screen of my phone. I even turned the volume up in case I had missed a vibration. I hadn't. Trying not to feel like I was sinking, I opened Instagram to distract myself. Scrolling through meaningless selfies and vacation posts, I stopped cold when I saw my mother's post. It was a carousel of pictures. The first image hit like a slap across the face. A pink and white frosted cake with the words, "Happy 5th birthday Muffin" in sparkly frosting. The next picture, my dad holding Muffin the cat like she was a newborn baby. The next, Lila laughing as Muffin opened presents, literal wrapped gifts on the floor, surrounded by streamers and balloons shaped like tiny mice. The house was filled with decorations, smiling faces, a balloon arch, and even a woman dressed in a cat costume doing entertainment for the guests. My heart stopped. Muffin, my sister's spoiled Persian cat, had just had a full-blown surprise birthday party, with our entire family there, with matching cat-themed cupcakes, with a custom-made photo booth, with my parents hosting it like it was the social event of the year. And me? Their actual child? Nothing. Not even a text. I blinked at the screen, scrolling back and forth. Maybe it was a joke. Maybe my sister posted it just to annoy me. But no. There was my mom in the comments replying to people, saying things like, "She's our princess," and "We just had to celebrate our Muffin properly this year. She brings us so much joy." I stared at that comment. She brings us so much joy. I used to bring them joy, didn't I? There was a time when I was the one who brought home straight A's, when I played the violin and they sat proudly at every recital, when I made birthday cards for them with glitter and glue. I thought I mattered once. I really did. I dropped my phone. I felt a strange hollowness in my chest, not quite anger, not even sadness, just emptiness. Like something had finally torn all the way through, like this invisible thread I'd been clinging to, hoping maybe one day things would change, had finally snapped. I didn't cry. I didn't call them and scream. I just sat in the silence of my apartment, lit only by the dull glow of my birthday candles, because yes, I'd bought myself a tiny cake, just in case. One candle, barely flickering. I hadn't even sung to myself. That would have been too pathetic, right? But as I sat there, staring at that ridiculous Instagram post again, something in me shifted. You can only ignore someone for so long before they stop playing along. You can only push someone away for so many years before they decide not to come back. So no, I wasn't going to text them. I wasn't going to ask why they forgot. I wasn't going to demand love like some desperate child. I was done begging for a seat at their table when they kept reserving it for a cat. But I would respond, not with tears, with a gift, a message so clear they'd never forget it. And just like they threw Muffin a surprise she never saw coming, I was about to deliver one of my own. After writing that letter and sending the gift, I expected silence, or maybe a storm. But the truth? What followed was stranger. An echoing void. Days passed, then weeks, Not a single word from either of my parents. No missed calls, no messages laced with guilt, no dramatic responses, just absence. And somehow, that silence was louder than any shouting match. But this time, I didn't chase it. Instead, I watched from a distance. I saw their social media posts shift. They went quiet for a while. No glamorous brunch photos, no silly cat cake reels. Lila posted a vague tweet about people who can't handle other people's joy. Clearly aimed at me. I didn't engage. I wasn't in the business of performing grief or starting digital wars. My message had been sent, and it had landed. Still, the hurt lingered. Deep, twisting. Even though I had made my stand, there were moments when my heart ached for what never was. Late at night, I found myself replaying childhood memories, searching for signs, moments where I had been loved in equal measure. I found scraps, fragments, but never full pieces. One particular memory came flooding back. I was 10, it was Lila's birthday, and she had a magician, a bounce house, and a princess carriage cake. My birthday was 3 weeks later. I got store-bought cupcakes and a card with the wrong name scribbled and crossed out. I didn't say anything back then. I thought it was normal, that kids like me didn't get more. But now I saw it for what it was, a pattern, not an accident. A quiet way of saying, you matter less. I didn't need to prove my pain to anyone anymore. What I needed was to finally fill the space they had left hollow inside me. So I started showing up for myself. Not just emotionally, but physically. I enrolled in a solo travel group. I went to Lisbon, then Croatia. I took pictures, not for likes, but for memories. I tried painting. Turns out I'm terrible at it, but it felt good to try. I made friends with strangers who didn't ask me who my family was or what they thought of me. They just saw me. And then, life handed me something unexpected. One evening, I got a message from a local charity I'd once donated to. They were hosting a community event, a birthday celebration for underprivileged kids who'd never had a proper party. They needed volunteers. I signed up. That day changed something in me. I spent hours inflating balloons, tying ribbons, writing names on cupcakes with icing pens. Each child who walked in had wide, uncertain eyes, not sure if the party was really for them. One little girl, maybe 8 years old, clung to my hand and whispered, "Is this really all for us?" I bent down and said, "Yes, it's for you, because you deserve to feel celebrated." She smiled, and in that moment, I felt like I was healing my younger self. The girl who used to blow out candles alone in the kitchen while her sister danced under disco lights. That night, I went home and cried. Not out of sadness, but relief. I no longer needed to force a seat at someone else's table. I could build my own. But life wasn't quite done writing this chapter. Months later, I got a letter in the mail, handwritten. The penmanship was my father's. I stared at it for a long time before opening it. Inside, the words were hesitant, uncertain, like a man speaking in a language he'd never learned. "Ava, your letter broke us, not because of what you said, but because it was true. Your mother and I have spent a long time thinking about how we raised you and Lila. I don't have an excuse, only shame. Muffin's party was Lila's idea. Your mother went along with it. I didn't stop it, and that's on me. I don't know how to fix what we've done. I only know that I miss you. And if you ever want to talk, I'm listening now. No expectations, no pressure. Just regret. Dad." I read it once, twice, then again. I didn't cry. I didn't rush to forgive. I just sat with it, the weight of accountability, finally handed to me instead of brushed aside. Weeks passed. I never wrote back. Forgiveness doesn't always come in neat, redemptive bows. Sometimes it's a slow, cracked opening in the wall between you and the ones who let you down. But I made a decision. I didn't want to be consumed by bitterness. I didn't want to live the rest of my life defining myself by the pain others caused, so I started therapy. I opened up about more than just birthdays and parties, but about the years I'd made myself smaller to keep peace in a house where my joy was disposable. Healing didn't come all at once. It came in layers. In learning how to throw myself birthday dinners and inviting friends who brought laughter, not tension. In letting go of the idea that parents always know best. in realizing that I was allowed to create a life where I was the priority. The last twist? A year later, on my next birthday, I hosted a dinner party at my place. There were candles, music, homemade cake, and people who knew my favorite flavor without asking. A small package arrived that afternoon. No name, just a card inside. "Happy birthday, Ava," from someone who is finally trying to learn. I didn't need to check the handwriting. I smiled. I didn't cry. Because this year, I wasn't forgotten. And more importantly, I had finally remembered myself.